Good day to you. And how do you like living in an attention economy? You know, like the book talks about. An economy where your attention, as is grabbed by an internet device, could be a computer or a cell phone, your attention is trying to be converted into a profit. That's what an attention economy is your eyeballs looking at a screen and then somewhere along the way you deciding to click through something to make a purchase. Well, that's kind of what this chapter is about as we take on the first chapter in our new week here. Chapter 4 is all about how media messages on social media can be measured. In other words, measuring social media. And I don't know about you, but just about every single day in my inbox, I have to swat away tons of spam email trying to sell me things, like Ticketmaster, for example. I constantly receive messages from Ticketmaster about upcoming concerts. Now, I know somewhere along the way I've given my email to Ticketmaster, probably when I purchased Phillies tickets or rock concert tickets, and now they have my email address, and that's how they're constantly trying to get my attention in the attention economy. The same is true for every time you go onto Facebook and you have your news feed, and then you have sponsored ads that come in the middle. I saw one for a Subaru the other day in my sponsored feed. I own a Subaru, so Subaru has got its message into my news feed on Facebook. So as we study this subject, we want to consider what exactly is measurable in social media and how is the measurement done. So first thing we want to mention is the biggest company out there is the Nielsen company. Made famous by its measurement of TV ratings. You've probably heard about the Nielsen ratings, the top 10 TV shows that they put out every week that have the biggest audiences. 60 Minutes, for example, is a show that constantly shows up in the Nielsen ratings. But Nielsen also measures web usage. They measure exactly what you're doing when you're on the web. And I went to a conference a few years ago in New York City, and I was just absolutely blown away by how much Nielsen knows about your web use. Do you know, for example, that they can drill down into their data and they can find out exactly what people are tweeting about who are living on Prospect Street and they're looking at their tweets on Thursday night at 8 o'clock. Yeah, they can capture tweets from people living on Prospect Street, which is a street here in East Stroudsburg, at a specific time of day. And they can find out that people who were watching, for example, Dancing with the Stars were commenting on one of the dancers' dresses, or were commenting on a hairstyle, or were commenting on a joke that was made in the audience. And they use that data, Nielsen does, to capture what people are doing with their time when they're on their social media. And then what they're trying to do, Nielsen, is to sell that information to advertisers and to TV stations and to all forms of media outlets so that those media outlets can present the ratings showing what people are using in terms of social media, to advertisers like Geico and Verizon. And then Verizon and Geico and all the rest of those companies, if they want, they can try and push out their message through the web, through television, through radio, through newspapers, through magazines, all based on an assumption about the audience that they're trying to get to. So Nielsen is the biggest company out there, but really all companies, including the social media companies themselves, such as Facebook, are providing metrics for you if you want them. If you establish a Facebook page, for example, for a business, you can find out how much reach you have every single week. And in fact, that introduces the next concept from the chapter that I want to talk about, two concepts that go together that are often used to describe people's habits with social media in terms of measuring those habits. Those two concepts are reach and frequency. So reach is how many people your message is getting to across various social media platforms, across various social media devices. Frequency is how often you are reaching those people. The reach of radio, for example, compared to other social media is incredible. Radio reaches 96% of adults 18 and above every single week. That's an incredible reach for radio. That's what we're talking about here when we're talking about reach. We're talking about how many people is Facebook reaching on a daily basis. You can find that out from Facebook's own statistics. Next up in our discussion is what we call platform structures. Now, this is all about a term that's not used in the book, but I want to make sure that you know about it. It's all about a term that's called monetizing. Monetizing is an attempt to turn content on the web into a profit. And it's very difficult to do because we know that the web is a social and it's a public meaning it's a free medium for most people. People have grown up thinking that things are always going to be free on the web, and they really don't want to pay for things. Nevertheless, monetization is the only way that companies can make a profit if that's what their goal is to do, to make a profit as opposed to provide a public service. So Coca-Cola, for example, if it wants to make a profit, it has two options on the web. One is what we call a subscription platform structure, and that's where you pay to subscribe. So the New York Times is an example of a news medium that pushes its content out on the web, but you have to subscribe to the New York Times if you want to get a certain number of articles. Same with the Pocono Record, actually. You get 3 free clicks, and then after that you have to subscribe. So that yearly subscription, that 6-month subscription, is one way to ensure that a social media platform can be monetized, can make money. The second way is a pay-per-use system, and that's where you pay for what you decide to take. So, for example, my son does singing lessons, and he wants to print out a song to take to his lesson. And so we're going to pay, instead of a subscription to the company that will give us the musical notes on a sheet of paper, he pays pay-per-use, per song. And that's an example of content that has that per-use platform structure. Now, what are the kinds of things that are measured online to see how people are interacting with media content? Well, it depends on the social media platform and what kinds of remediation of former symbols has been set up. If you recall that word, it's using symbols to get people to do things. So the kinds of symbols and the kinds of things that are used to measure audiences vary across platforms, but here are some examples that you'll know very well. One is page views. How many times a web page is viewed? And that can be measured every time it comes up on a person's screen by tracing their IP address. That's the address of their computer as it exists on the internet. And so page views is something that's often looked at, although we never really know whether a person is paying attention to the page that's on in front of them. They could be looking away out the window. But nevertheless, page views is one measurement of audience on social media. Another measurement is numbers of followers. Followers in terms of Twitter followers, and also followers used generically in terms of friends. A page can have a number of followers and a number of likes, which is a third tool for measuring audience. Likes, which is a tool that's a remediation on Facebook. Shares, similarly, is another way of measuring audiences. But the two big ones that most companies are looking at when they're trying to convert audiences into purchasing customers, the two biggest ones that are looked at are the click-through rate. That's how many times a link is clicked on from a web page. And then secondly, and even more importantly, the pay per click. The pay per click is when the clicking through the links actually translates into somebody taking out their credit card and purchasing a ticket, or purchasing a shirt and having it mailed to them, or purchasing makeup and having it mailed to them. The pay per click ultimately is what advertisers and businesses are monitoring in terms of the use of social media. And it's very easy to monitor. It's much easier than monitoring a television ad and the effect that it has on a person going out and purchasing something at JCPenney or Kmart or Sears or wherever. On the computer, you can measure those click-throughs. People are interacting, and you're able to trace that information. And so really the 3 steps that advertisers and social media marketers are looking for when a person goes online is their attention. In the attention economy, get their attention. Secondly, get their engagement. Get them clicking things, get them reading things, get them scrolling through things, get them engaging with the media content. And then thirdly is conversion, making that purchase. Now, you may think that when you go online and you type into your favorite search engine, for most people it's Google, but some people use Bing, and Safari is on the Apple side of things. You may think that when you type in a word that you want to search, like picnic, that it's going to come up wherever it's used the most often. Those are the links that are going to appear. But actually, search engines use algorithms. Algorithms is a kind of mathematical formula that is estimating what it is that you want to see. So what you see when you do a search is not necessarily the most popular hits that are out there. It's an algorithm that's taking into account what generically Facebook or Google or Bing thinks you want to see. And in fact, Facebook just recently announced that it tweaked its algorithm It was not showing as much information from your friends in your newsfeed as Facebook believed that it should. So it altered that, and I don't know if you've noticed any difference if you're a Facebook user, but you should be seeing more information from friends who you've been friends with, but you haven't seen postings from them for a while. And of course, one of the most important things that you can do if you're a person who's trying to optimize your content and get it discovered by people out there to capture their attention, to then get them to engage and then convert, one of the most important things that you can do is what is known as search engine optimization, or SEO. Search engine optimization is a way of tricking the web into discovering your link, your homepage, your product, whatever your presence is on the web. You want it to come up when people search for it, and there's a whole process of doing that for removing blocks and making it easy for all of the search engines that are out there to discover you. It's better left to computer technicians, but search engine optimization is a part and parcel of the social media universe that we live in if you want to get your message out. So this is going to wrap up our chapter 4. There is, of course, other information in the chapter, which I did not cover today, which will be covered by, hopefully, your discussion post-response question. But we're going to, for now, leave it there, and I hope you have a great day.